I had a request to create something for Mother's Day with writing. So I'm going to show you how I would do the word mum in wire. And you can see you could do any word. If you can write it on a piece of paper and not lift your hand off the paper and it's one continuous line, then you can definitely write it with wire. So practice it on paper first and then work directly from a spool of, I'm using 0.8 and I'm going to start with a spiral. So I'm going to take my round nose pliers to create the first very small circle of the spiral. So make the circle and then holding that in your chain nose pliers, continue curling the wire around. Make this open at this stage, not tight. And that will be the edge of the letter. Now bend it back down because you're going to do the M now. So this is the side of the M. Now when you bend it and double it, turn it sideways, right angle to the bend, and that way one wire only shows. Now you're going to bring the wire back up to make the sort of the top of the M. So again, bend it and turn it sideways so it's hidden behind itself. And that way you only get one line of wire rather than the sandwich bit of wire. Now we're going to make the top of the M. So use your round nose pliers to make the rounded edge. Then you're going to make the middle of the M. So bend it back round, squidge that wire together, and again turn it to a right angle so you only see one wire and it's doubled up there on the side. And again the next bit. So put your round nose pliers and there you've got your first M. And if it's a little bit wonky at this stage, don't worry, you can sort of even it out as at the end. So make sure that all your letters are running on a straight line. So I'm going to bend it back up and there's my baseline, bend it back up, and now I've got to make the U. So I'm keeping it to the top of the M. It's up to you, you could make the U lower, but again squidge that wire together and turn it to a right angle, and so you've only got one wire from the front showing and the rest is behind. Now you're going to make this curved bit of the U, so you want that a bit sort of bigger to scale, and there it is. Bend it back and squidge it and turn it sideways, and there you've got one wire showing so it's not too bulky. We're going to come up, so there's your baseline, come up again and to make the side of the M. So we're going up straight, so pull it to make that straight. Then you've got to go back down again. So you're going to squeeze those wires together and turn it sideways. And then you've got to come back all the way almost to the top. So again, you'll have to turn that wire sideways and squeeze it together. And that way you're going to have the other top of the M. So squish it together and then bring it back almost to the top of the side there to get the top of the M. So if you've written it on a piece of paper, you will have seen that's how you would get use it one continuous line without lifting your hand off. And that's what you've got to be able to do. So always write it first before you start making it, so you can visualize it. And there we go, the M for mum. So that shows you how you would sort of, make letters. And now just to sort of finish it off, if you want to put it on a card or you want to make it into a pendant, that's completely up to you. And so I think just to finish off, you could do a spiral there. Let's just do a little heart because that's quite a nice thing for a Mother's Day, to say that you love your mum. Or so if you make a little heart from the rest of the wire there, you can see we've done hearts before if you look at previous projects, and I'm just keeping it as small as I can because I don't want to make it out of proportion. So create the heart just there, and then now we can cut it off the spool. And I'm leaving quite a long tail because that means I can secure it around that stem, but I will also have enough to make a little decorative spiral to hide that wrap. So once I've wrapped it, I can make a little tiny head pin there, and then I can curl that wire back around and bring it just to the tip or base of the heart, and it means it just adds another decorative detail to the piece. So after you've done your lettering, obviously spend a bit of time making sure that it's, it needs to be a little bit work hardened. You've got to be very careful when you hammer, because you don't want to distort what you've just done. So only outer edges. Make sure you don't hammer wires that are doubled up, just the very, very outer edge, anywhere that you can reach that is an outer edge, and one wire only, nothing that's been doubled, because it will distort it. So I can go for the spiral at the edge. And you can use your nylon mallet side of the whammer too, but just spend a bit of time making sure that it's evened out and it's not sort of distorted, and also it's work hardened. And once you've done that, we could turn that into a little pendant to give on Mother's Day or hang from the card. So for that, I'm going to use a piece of chain. You can buy continuous chain and we'll make the clasp. So first of all, make jump rings. So we'll need a jump ring to suspend it from the chain. So just curl the wire around your round nose pliers to make an even coil, and then once you've made your coil, we'll cut through it in a minute. Then let's make the clasp. So that's a tiny little circle, and create the hook of the fish hook clasp. I'm going to leave a nice long stem for that one because I want to make a spiral, and then I'm going to make the eye of the clasp, which is just basically a wrap loop for the other end of the chain. So I'm just going to wrap the wire underneath the loop, and that way it can't open and it's nice and secure, and cut off any excess. So this is just a quick way to finish it off, finish the mum writing off as a necklace, or you could have written your mum's name, as long as it's not very, very long, like, I don't know, Pollyanna or something, which is obviously more difficult to do. Right, so we need to work harden the clasp, put it back on your block, give that a hammer and flattening. This will work harden the surface wire. And now we want to cut through your coil to get your jump rings. There are instructional tutorials on this on my channel for making jump rings, for making clasps, so you can follow those tutorials. But if you're just in the middle of wanting just to finish this and make this, just continue this. So open the jump ring sideways and feed that into the end of the chain. So, I wish I'd got a slightly bigger chain I can feed it into, but it works. Then go into the last sort of loop of that spiral. So that means you're sort of nicely connected into one side of the writing, and make sure that's nice and secure and there's no gaps in your linking. And then we're going to connect on the opposite side of the writing onto the heart. So open the second jump ring, link it in to that heart. Just got to open it a little bit more, there we go, and then into the other side of the chain, and make sure that it's properly closed and there's no gaps in your links. And now find the center of the chain, and also obviously I've measured this for the length that I want. I've got a 16-inch chain. Find the center and cut it, and then we can add the clasp. So I'm going to add a jump ring on the side where I want the fish hook to be. So into the end of the chain, and I'm going to close that link completely. I mean, you can do this various ways. You could make the fish hook link and connect that in, but I'm doing it this way round. So I'm going to make a link at the end of my fish hook clasp, and then I'm going to open that link sideways, feed it into the last link of the chain that I've just put on, and then I want to spiral, close that up, and then spiral that end around so that it sits within that jump ring at the end, and it creates a nice decorative fish hook clasp. The other side, all I have to do is make a link on the eye of the clasp, and I'm going to connect that in at the very end, the other side of the chain. And we're nearly there, nearly ready to put it in a box and wrap it up for mum. So there we are, just put that in, close that up, and there we have it. Just make sure it's as you want it to be. You could hang a little crystal off that. You could, you could add, or a semi-precious stone, maybe your mother's birthstone. But it's as simple as that. So you could make these for presents and for cards, or do the name. Enjoy making it, and thank you so much for watching.